or my YouTube stream. All right, the other two are working. Well, the other 1, 2, 3, the other 4 are working okay. YouTube is giving me such a pain. Anyway, like I said, so he has the Titan Games, and he just came out with Titan Games 2, Season 2, and it says here, Titan Games, winning Titan Games is not about being in shape. I'll tell you what, though, everyone that's in that game needs to be in shape because he runs them ragged in that game. The Titan Games is coming back to NBC, and with it will come more athletes looking to put their bodies to the test and earn the title of Titan. Creator and producer Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, said his teams have done an effective job of crafting challenges for the contestants. I just know that last year they just really beat the living daylights out of those contestants, and I'll tell you, I wouldn't do it. There was another game too, that the Mile Run or something like that, or something. I wonder if that's coming back too. But anyway, it says here Johnson's making clear that one's physical abilities alone won't allow them to win the competition. So they may have changed a lot of the rules in that game to go so that they don't have to be just a physical phenomenon. So it may be interesting how they did that. It says here, as you know, physicality is that much right, because that's something we always prepare for, something that our competitors prepare for, but it becomes a mental game with something like Titan Games because the fatigue is going to set in, the lactic acid is going to set in, your legs are going to get wobbly. So I'll probably watch it. I think it's, oh, here we go. Here we go. Here's a spot. Let's see if this is what's going to happen here.
As a small business owner,
no, that's
I
not
know
it.
our healthcare system is not.
That's maybe, but that's okay. Now we can skip the ad. Here we go. Hey, there's another ad. Why'd you put that ad? We have 2 ads. You can let me skip. I guess it's already subscribed. Hey, what's going on now? All right, subscribe. Me have my. All right, what happened here? We lost the... Oh, you're not going to make me watch this again. Can't see that...
in response to COVID-19.
They are going to do that. They're going to make me watch it again. Well, that kind of sucks. Well, it says here, needless to say, these events are not for the faint of heart. Even Johnson has admitted he was concerned. He conceived some of them while drunk. The contest may be taxing, but Johnson has also done what he can to make them equally challenging to everyone. Before the show even aired, he quickly shot down the idea of female competitors won't compete in the same events as their male competitors. Let's see here.
The Titan Games, Season 2 of the Titan Games. And earlier this year, I was able to...
You were able to what? Stop stopping.
Assemble an amazing group of human beings, and these are all frontline heroes. Our doctors, our nurses, our veterans, our teachers, and who just happen to be incredible athletes. Now, all this happened in January, and we had no idea what we would end up here. So we created an incredible Titan Games Season 2. And if you guys have been following me, you know, I posted some pictures and some videos. I mean, it was incredible. We shot in Atlanta, Georgia. We created an amazing Titan Arena. That place was rocking every day. People were going crazy in there. But here's the twist that I'm excited about is, in addition to bringing you guys these amazing athletes that I had found all across the country, I also went out and I brought in the best of the best, from Olympic gold medalists to NFL stars to UFC champions. I brought them in, and they are competing against our athletes, and I cannot wait, and I can't wait to show you guys. I can't wait to show you guys the Season 2. It's a Memorial Day, and It is, when I tell you, it is crazy. It's intense. We have the best pro athletes, Olympic gold medalists in the world who came on to compete, who gave me their blood, their sweat, their respect. And it was incredible. And to pair them up against these everyday people who are just incredible athletes who've trained all their lives, I mean, it was a collision and an explosion that was just outstanding. So that's the big news that I wanted to share with you guys. So while we can enjoy sports, the way we want to do from NFL to the Olympics to the UFC, what we can enjoy is the Titan Games Season 2, and it starts Memorial Day, and it's going to be a epic 2-hour event, and I can't wait. It's going to be a hell of a season. So that's the news.
There you go. The news,
Woman.
from The Rock. I think it'll be a cool show. I like the last show, and if it's anything like the last show, I kind of like the last show, but I found that they were a bit something a bit hokey or something. I don't know. There was something I didn't like about it, but it was their first year, so I was willing to give them another shot, and it looks like they listened to my thoughts, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, so that's good to know that they're going to definitely be back on the air, and we'll see how they do. They also, what's this here? Wait a minute, I just got to double check this. Titan Games Season 2, NBC, The Rock fill pandemic sports void with 3 New Jersey contestants. Oh, they're local. Well, kind of local. It says here, let's see, Chantel Athill, Courtney Roselle, and Kareem Brinson compete in the second season of the Titan Games. That's very cool. With NBC, baseball, and hockey out of the picture during the pandemic, TV is left with few options for sports programming that don't involve documentaries. So, yeah, the season premiere says here, oh, that was yesterday. So I got to watch that too. Rats. Got some watching to do. So, yeah, we got the Titan Games to watch. That's very cool. And I like I said, well, actually, this one looks kind of different. I guess they have different events that they put together. But The Rock said he came up with a lot of them for while he was drunk. It says here, contestants will be. It says at the time when Olympics are postponed, contestants will compete against Olympic champions and professional athletes. So they actually changed the idea of the show because they weren't going against people that were professional athletes. They were all athletic people going against each other. So that could put a new twist on it. It says including New Jersey's own Victor Cruz. The show's 32 competitors are split into 3 regions, West, Central, and East, and includes New Jersey's Chantel Athill, Courtney Roselle, and Kareem Brinson. The celebrity roster in the East region includes UFC champion Tyrone Woodley and Olympic gold medalist snowboarder Hannah Teeter. The West has former Giants wide receiver Cruz, the Super Bowl champion who grew up in Patterson, and a stunt woman, and American Ninja Warrior star Jesse Graff. Oh, that's interesting. I did notice that Jesse Graff was on the ad. The central team is made up of Joe Thomas, former defensive tackle for the Cleveland Browns, gold medalist and middleweight champion Clarissa Shields, and the show will crown one man and one woman regional champion, and they will then go on to battle the reigning Titans. The 2 winners will receive $100,000. If a professional athlete wins the prize, the charity gets their it goes to the charity of their choice. So that's very cool. I am looking forward to that. Then it makes it interesting that they're going to do it this way, and I like the idea that they have athletes from all these different sports, so that gives you different feel for the show. I like that they are using Jessie Graff too. She's very cool. So, yeah, okay. They got my interest now, more than before. I mean, I was interested before, but now I'm definitely interested just because I want to see how these athletes do against the other athletes. So, yeah, very cool. Here's a fact that's really interesting, maybe, to some people. I almost had The Rock on my show back in, before he hit it big. I was trying to get him on the show, and I thought I had him. And actually, I thought I had Dave Bautista, too, because they were around the same time, and I really was sure I had him. But things go the way they go, and sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. And that particular time, I didn't win, so it is what it is. All right, that's enough Dwayne Johnson news. How could that be enough Dwayne Johnson news, you say? Here's an interesting thing. Now, we talked about, I believe last week or the week before, that Little Richard died. And how he was very influential. Now, when you think, okay, so if he was going to back a candidate and leave money for a candidate, $3 million to be exact, who do you think he would leave it for? Well, I was surprised they left it for Trump. Little Richard leaves $3 million to the Trump 2020 campaign. I'm really surprised that he did because, Trump has not been known to be gay friendly. So, it was really a shock to me that he left money to that campaign. But I don't know that he would leave money to Biden's campaign either. So it says it's a sad day as we have lost the best rubber ducky singer the world has ever known. He's survived by a wife, 3 children, and countless grandchildren and great-grandchildren. He was a great role model for all of them and will inspire us for generations to come. Little Richard wanted to make sure future generations were left in good hands. That is why it comes to no surprise that he left $3 million to the Trump 2020 campaign in his last will and testament. He left a following statement. I want to leave behind a legacy of greatness. I believe the best way to do this is to support the greatest president in the history of presidents, Donald Trump. That is why I'm leaving a bunch of cash for his campaign. The best thing I can do for my children, for my grandchildren, and children of America. Wow. It says here, family attorney Joe Barron said the estate totals over $15 million and $3 million will go specifically to minority outreach for the Trump campaign. Trump already has the black vote. We want to make sure he gets 100% of it. This is a sad day for all of Little Richard fans, but it is a tremendously bright day in his funding boost, all but ensures Trump's victory in November. Little Richard's making America great again. We will surely keep America great. I am just shocked. I mean, I really am. I won't, I mean, maybe that's, oh, he got me. Oh, I'll bet you this isn't real. Maybe that's the thing. They got me. I wonder, okay. They got me. They got me. I can't believe it. I don't usually fall for that. They did. Oh, okay. I knew I couldn't believe that. I knew that couldn't be real. All right. I should have researched this. Darn, it got me. I'm ashamed of myself because I should have known better. It says, does Little Richard's son inherit his $40 million, or will God get everything? I see that's... He got me. They got me. I can't believe it. I fell for it. All right. Hi, Amy Sue. I fell for it. I can't believe I actually fell for it. I usually spot that stuff, and I just didn't believe that. I was doing last minute research, and I didn't have a chance to research it. Now I feel really stupid because there was no way he was going to leave money. It says he has a 49-year-old son, Danny. He will probably, it says here, he has, they say he has generated $40 million across the decades. I'm not convinced that it's a lot of money left or even a lot of people to claim it. There's not enough to earn big in life and hold on to it. Now, this one, yeah, I wish I could scratch that last part. I really don't think I told you I didn't think that could be true. And now I know that it isn't probably true. All right, well, screw that. It got me. I don't usually fall for that stuff. I'm sad. I'm sad that I got caught in that. So, all right. I wish I would have been smart enough to read that because it says satire. I wish I would have thought of that. Oh, I didn't even look at that. I'm embarrassed now. All right. It says here. Yeah, Buddy didn't do his job. He didn't do his research. Well, like I said, that was last minute. I was going through the news articles for today, and I said, "Oh, that looks interesting. Let's see what it's all about." And I didn't read it through, and I should have. I usually read the articles ahead of time because I usually have time to do that. But when I find the articles right before the show, I don't often have time to do that. All right. So there's a multi-state manhunt going on for a UConn student after killings and a home invasion. According to the Connecticut State Police, they're looking for a University of Connecticut student in connection with the killing of 2 people and an abduction. Peter Manfredonia, 23, is suspected of killing a 62-year-old man and seriously injuring another man with an edged weapon on Friday. And the motive is unclear. Peter is also a suspect in the killing of a 23-year-old male acquaintance in Derby, Connecticut. That state police identified as Nicholas Eisel. Eisel was found dead in his home Sunday, according to the state trooper. Police believe that Peter allegedly stole a black Volkswagen Jetta from the home. Boy, this guy's racking up all the things he could rack up. And it says here, police say that Peter was last seen in East Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania on Sunday. And they warned Peter that Peter is considered armed and dangerous and should not be approached. According, he's suspected of home invasion on Sunday in Connecticut, allegedly stealing pistols and long guns, according to the homeowner's car, before leaving the scene, and says that the car was later abandoned at a nearby state park. Police believe that another person may have been in the house at the time. The individual was later found unharmed in Paterson, New Jersey, and identified the suspect. So the individual's now back with their family in Connecticut. The car was later found in New Jersey, close to Pennsylvania border, and said that, where was it? said that I don't think I understand that statement. Said that Mandafronia is a senior. Oh, a senior in college. Okay. Yukon records indicate that Manfredonia is a student at the School of Engineering, School of Business, MEM, which is Management and Engineering for Management program, and that he first enrolled in Yukon in 2015. So the family attorney pleads for Manfredonia to turn himself in. Who knows? Yeah, this has been ongoing, I guess. So, yeah, it's sad. It's sad that people were out there like that. Let's see here. Hold on, I gotta grab this and put it in the news. I hate when they don't have links that I can just click the link and put the article in it. There we go. So turn yourself in, Manfredonia. Alright. In the same sense, the story, the black eye part, authorities, I better check and make sure this isn't a joke. Authorities suspect caught after high-speed pursuit isn't the Connecticut killer. Yeah. Well, you better be glad you aren't that Connecticut killer, because you'd be going to jail for killing them instead of just speeding. But yeah, these people. It says here, media reports that the accused killer from Connecticut was captured Monday morning following a high-speed chase, but that isn't true, according to the Daily Voice. Not sure about the reason for the confusion. Unfortunately, the killer is still at large, and again, they think he was in Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania. He probably went to the movies, went to the drive-ins. So, that kid's only 23. And to think that he's going through this stuff where he killed people at 23, there's going to be another guy that isn't going to be contributing to society. So, this is weird. Officers involved in the death of a black man detained in Minneapolis, they've been fired. This is so strange. I mean, I don't understand why this continues to be a problem. But here's a story. Video of the incident shows that a white police officer had a black man pinned to the ground next to his patrol car with his knee in the back of the man's neck. I can't breathe, the video says. So I think there's going to be issues with this.
Look how they throwing people out here. Got him kneed on the ground. He crying and oh, this is sick.
Please, 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 man. Please, somebody.
I mean, that's pretty cut and dry. Didn't look like he was even fighting.
That's the focus. My stomach hurts. My neck hurts. Everything hurts. There's water or something. Please. Please. I can't breathe all the time.
You're not even resisting the rest, bro.
His whole nose is
Fought with him? Bro, but why you just sitting there? He ain't doing nothing now. Put him in the car.
Don't kill me.
How long y'all gotta hold him down?
Why you don't do drugs, kids?
I don't know why they just didn't handcuff him and put him in the car.
Right.
He is human, bro.
I mean, I'm not a cop or anything, but it seems pretty sure that that's what what they should have done there. I mean, that's crazy. says here 4 Minnesota officers have been fired following the detainment of a man who died Monday night after being pinned to the ground by an officer who put his knee on the man's neck for about 8 minutes. Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey said it was the right call to terminate the officers in a tweet announcing the decision Tuesday. The police department said Minneapolis Bureau of Criminal Apprehension and the FBI would independently be investigating the incident. I don't understand why they couldn't have just put handcuffs on him and put him in the car if it was that big of a deal. So, let's see. So, yeah, it's just really crazy. We all reviewed the video. We wait to see the medical examiner's report. Officers' actions and training protocol will be carefully examined. Video shows the white police officer had the black man, identified as George Floyd, pinned to the ground next to the back of a tire of the patrol car with his knee on the man's neck. Please, 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 I can't breathe, the man begs. My stomach hurts, my neck hurts. Please, please, I can't breathe. Onlookers on the Minneapolis deli urged the officer to get off the man. You're stopping his breathing right now. You think that's cool? A woman or a man says. His nose is bleeding. Look at his nose, says a woman. The man doesn't budge, or the officer doesn't budge. And the man does go silent. More people began to intervene and call for the officer or his partner to check his pulse. The officer remains on the man's neck, even as he lies apparently unresponsive for a total of 8 minutes before paramedics arrive. I just don't understand why he was stuck in that position. Now, I mean, we aren't there, but I don't know. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to, a Richard Branson to figure out that it's probably not right. So I think those guys will definitely be paying the price. So I just think that that's just unheard of. There should not have been that much of an issue. So, all right. This is so weird. So, this happens in New York City. Actually, it happens in Central Park. So, this woman's in the park with her dog. Her dog's not on a leash. A black man is there. He's bird watching. He approaches her and says, "You're supposed to have your dog on a leash." There's big signs everywhere that says you're supposed to have your dog on a leash. And he starts to record the conversation so there's no controversy on the whole thing. And so a video shows a woman calling a New York City police alleging that the black man was threatening her in the Central Park after he asked her to put her dog on a leash, has gone viral. According to the says here, Christian Cooper told the NBC New York that he was bird watching in the park when he noticed the dog running free. He approached a woman walking the dog to put it back on the leash. The woman refused, and Cooper started filming their interaction. And here's what their interaction was. So,
new details this morning of a Central Park confrontation gone viral.
Please don't come close to me.
Sir, I'm asking you to stop recording me.
Please don't come close to me.
NBC News does not have the full video. Its context unknown. But Christian Cooper, who describes himself as an avid bird watcher, tells NBC station WNBC he was in the park when he asked Amy Cooper, no relation, to put her dog on a leash.
If the habitat is destroyed,
what are the chances that they would both be named Cooper? I think that's funny. That part's funny. All right, keep playing.
to see birds, to enjoy the plantings.
Cooper says she refused, and he then offered her dog a treat.
At some point, she decided that, I'm going to play the race card, I guess.
And that's when, he says, he began recording the incident.
Please take your phone off.
Please don't come close to
And I'm
me.
taking pictures going to back.
When Christian refused to stop recording her, the video shows Amy Cooper grabbing her dog's collar, moving away, and dialing 911.
Please call the cops. Please call the cops.
I'm going to tell them there's an African-American man threatening my life.
Please tell them whatever you like.
There is an African-American man. I am in Central Park. He is recording me and threatening myself and my dog. I'm sorry, I can't hear you either. I'm being threatened by a man in the ramble. Please send the cops immediately. I'm in Central Park.
Overnight, Amy Cooper apologizing, also speaking exclusively to WNBC.
It's unacceptable.
Saying she overreacted and regrets calling the police.
When I think of the police, I think of the protection agency. And unfortunately, this has caused me to realize that there are so many people in this country that don't have that luxury.
Late Sunday, her employer, Franklin Templeton, put her on administrative leave, tweeting, "We take these matters very seriously, and we do not condone racism of any kind."
That was truly racism.
Such a disturbing story. Morgan Cooper, he also spoke out a little bit further about why he decided to record that. What did he say?
He was smart about that because, man, O'Day, who would have thought the woman would have been that much of a bitch that she would call the race card on, be a racist about the whole thing. That was insane. I can't even fathom why anybody would do that. This day and age, and then she says she's not a racist. That sounded, it couldn't be more racist than that. She might as well get her KKK stuff together. She deserves what she got. She should have gotten, well, I'm sure she got chastised by a lot of people, but that was just wrong in every single. There's just nothing that was right about that. Oh man! And then she gets indignant about it and pretends. See, this is why guys can't trust women a lot of times, because here's a guy that all he wanted was for her to put her dog on the leash. I mean, I personally don't have a problem with a dog being free as long as the dog is being good, but if the law is you have to, leash your dog up, you should leash your dog up. I mean, it's not going to kill you to keep your dog on a leash. I keep my dog on a leash, and he's as gentle as can be, but, oh man, that's just amazing that she actually tried to justify it.
Yeah, Hoda, he basically said that he did not want to be intimidated, that he actually stopped recording as soon as the woman put her dog back on a leash. But he told our station, WNBC, that ultimately in the age of Ahmaud Arbery, this was about protection. He didn't want to participate in anything where people who looked like him were being harmed or worse, simply based on assumption. Hoda?
All right, Morgan Radford. Morgan, thank you.
That's unbelievable. That just...
Never run dry of non-stop hydration.
That woman would do that. I don't understand. And yet she knew it was wrong in every way possible. She knew, when you pretend you're being attacked or threatened by somebody who is obviously not threatening or attacking her or her dog, that just plain means, and there is no other word other than racist for a person like that. So good for him. I applaud him. So he protected himself. I mean, in the day, where that guy got killed a couple weeks ago, just for jogging through a neighborhood, you got to protect yourself any way you can. Us white people are not very nice. So it embarrasses me to be white a lot of times, because so many of us are out there looking for trouble and looking to cause trouble, and it's just wrong. It's wrong on every plateau. So every time I see that, I'm angered by the idiocracy of these people. So, anyway, all right. So that's the crimes. Got that all done. Okay. A city in Oklahoma ends face mask requirements after store employees were threatened. Man, this is another one that just irritates the living daylights out of me. People are saying, well, our rights as Americans are we don't have to wear a mask. I don't want to get sick. I am scared of this COVID thing. I had this in I had this in January. I know what this COVID thing can do. And people are just insane. They're insane. City in Oklahoma that required everyone to wear a face mask inside a business has decided to change the rule after store employees were threatened with violence by people who refused to cover their noses and mouths. In a short period, face coverings have been required for entry to stores, restaurants. Store employees have been threatened with physical violence and showered with verbal abuse. I think if that's the case, we should take Oklahoma and remove it from the United States. That's it. So anyone that agrees with me, let's do it. Let's start digging around the city of Oklahoma, and we'll make it their own little country. But people really are crazy. Let's see. Oh, I know. That's an old story, isn't it? Yeah. That's what it was. Corona. All right. Okay, this is where we are. The Samaritan's Purse. Other workers who came to New York for a coronavirus fight must pay state income tax. Well, they should. That's where they worked. You shouldn't get to pay less tax because you're an out-of-stater. So that's what the Governor Cuomo, 66% of new hospitalizations in New York are people who were at home. This was, when was this done? Okay. Oops. Didn't want to hit that. Okay. Hit this. That's still not the new stuff. Where's my new stuff at? I had so many articles I didn't get to go over past couple weeks that, okay, so that one I gotta get rid of. Where is the one? Here it is. No, that one's, okay. I think this one's new. Well, it's kind of new. A person who was COVID-19 positive attended a church service and exposed 180 people. See, it only takes one person. It takes one idiot to keep this thing going. People don't seem to understand. You aren't wearing your mask. You're exposing other people, or you're being exposed to draw this thing out even longer. You know, it may be, we may have been angry because this thing's going on forever and ever, but when you think about it, if people aren't willing to play the game and wear the masks, it's going to go on even longer, because sooner or later, if you don't know anybody yet who has had it, and I don't know anyone that's had it but me, but I know there are people that are dying. I know that we set a new record, and as far as I'm concerned, you can be that one person that causes this thing to go on and on and on. It says one person who later learned they were positive for COVID attended a religious service on Mother's Day, exposing 180 people to the coronavirus. The individual got positive diagnosis the day after the service and is now in isolation at home. People who attended the service have been notified about their exposure and received instructions from health officials to self-quarantine. So, I just don't understand why everyone has to go out to their church during this time. You know, church is not worth. I know that some people say it is, but remember that minister who had that big to-do that God will take care of us, ended up dying, and so God took care of him. And I just think that it's not that big of a deal to wear a mask when we're supposedly on quarantine. And if you don't wear your mask, you could be part of the problem. And just get this thing over with, because it's going to go on and on. And I hear there's probably going to be a resurgence in the fall, but let's get it taken care of now when we can. So if you people gotta be, have to have your rights to not wear a mask, I want to be able to not wear a mask too. I don't really like wearing a mask. I can't breathe right. I hate wearing a mask. However, I do want to live. And things like this that happened, Memorial Day weekend, pool party in the Ozarks, draw national attention. Look at this. These guys are all maskless, and they're all partying down, having a good time, not doing social distancing. It's just, why? Why? It's not going to kill us to wear a mask for a couple months. I just look at all the people that are there, and none of them are doing the social distancing. No, if only one of those people is sick, one of those people, it could be the rest of the people being sick next. It's just crazy. I just think that it's just unreal that these people think that it's okay. No COVID concerns at the lakes in the Ozarks. It had they posted on Sunday, and by Monday it had 4.4 million views. And I'll tell you, how many of those people are going to get sick? Maybe none, maybe, possibly, but I don't know. I personally don't know, but I wouldn't go to that party. I mean, I realize I'm not a big social person anyway, but I would. I've turned down a lot of things that since this thing started, because I just don't want to be sick again. I don't know if I can get it again, but I'll tell you, I don't want to find out. I definitely don't want to, because the first time I had it, it was nasty, and I thought I was going to die. I was hoping I would die because I felt so sick. Oh, man. But fortunately, I'm still here. Or unfortunately for some of you. But I just think that it's a horrible thing. When I had it, I hated it. I mean, obviously you aren't going to have fun on this thing. But it was horrible. Alright. Send a tweet through already. Okay, there we go. Alright. So that's the same story. So we don't need that again. Here we go. It says COVID-19 cases surge in some states as Americans celebrate Memorial Day weekend. Look at the people at this stupid thing. They're all over each other. I mean, just, it doesn't take, I mean, we're all inconvenienced by this. Every one of us. Some of us more than others, because some of us don't really care, because it doesn't, some of us are just doing business as usual. But, I don't have that much of a social life anyway, so I don't really notice a big difference. But I just think that it's sad.
Asha, first to you, tell me what you've seen and what has happened to you on the beach. I understand there were people who were harassing you?
harassing me.
Yeah, Anna, within the last hour, there was a person who was not happy with what we were covering. We've been mostly talking to people who've all been really nice, by the way.
Okay, look at the
talking to us about
stats.
how they're social distancing,
Total cases,
what they're seeing with the crowds on the
5,367,675. Deaths, 343,513. In the United States, we have a third of the deaths. A third of the deaths in the country, in the world. And we have almost I would say 3/4 of the cases in the United States. No, I shouldn't say that. Not 3/4. Probably a fourth. A fourth of the cases. And here we show a third of the deaths are the United States of the 343,000 deaths. I just think it's really stupid. It says people ignoring infection prevention guidelines as the U.S. death toll nears 100,000. It's going to be 100,000 by probably, I'm guessing, in the next couple of weeks. And with people like this that are on the beach, I wanted to go to the beach really bad this week. I have tried to go to the beach every year around Memorial Day, and I haven't made it. I didn't make it last year either. I made it July 4th weekend, but it just sucks. I mean, this is just crazy stuff. I don't understand people. I really don't.
I was the reason that I was responsible for this, referring to my ethnicity. So that wasn't nice. But for the most part, everybody else has been very open.
Okay, people are saying her, because of her ethnicity. I guess she's of Asian descent. People were saying it's her fault. Okay. Oh man, that's as bad as the girl in the park that said it was the black man that was attacking her. Oh man, people have lost their minds. That's unreal.
Talking to us about, this very unusual Memorial Day weekend, as you mentioned. And just to be clear, if there's nobody right around me as I'm doing this live shot, I have the mask off, but I put it back on right after that, knowing that we're crossing paths with a lot of folks. And our crew seems to be, though, the only people in masks that we've seen all day. So that has been one thing we've noticed. If you take a look around on the beach behind me, though, you can see that there are parties pretty well spaced out from each other, and that's what our interview subjects are telling us, that they have seen people relatively calm, kind of following the rules. But keep in mind, Anna, that this is a city, Myrtle Beach, that had an executive order this past week specifying that police could have, some leeway here, some authority this weekend, an extraordinary event, they called it, because they saw some problematic behavior last weekend with people not social distancing.
Oh, I don't know what to think of these people.
I'm Max. I was diagnosed with aplastic.
Be quiet. Let me ask you. Oh, just amazes me. But at least those people were spaced out a little bit better than at the Ozark thing. At the Ozark thing, they were right on top of each other, and there could be lots of danger there. But like I said, it only takes one person in a group. And you could walk by, well, at least in the beach, you have the open air situation, whereas at a pool, you're kind of confined a little bit near each other. And that's a thing. That Ozark thing really kind of freaked me out a little bit. That beach didn't seem so bad, because at least they were apart from each other, and it's a little bit easier to justify that. But I still think that it's crazy. It's craziness. I don't understand these people that feel that you have to do it. I don't know. I don't think mankind has a chance in survival when it comes right down to it, because people are just stupid. But anyway, according to this, U.S. beaches and parks full of Memorial Day weekend despite the pandemic. Like, if you look at this picture here, people are right on top of each other. I mean, at least on that other beach video, they weren't right on top of each other. But they are here, and this looks like a boardwalk or something, but everyone seems to be right there next to each other without masks. I definitely don't want to do anything this summer if that's what it's going to be. So I just think that people think that this is really over. Look at this beach picture. Now these people are close to each other. Right over there, right in that area. People are all over the place. There's just no common sense. There's no common sense at all. These people are just... I mean, I want to go to the beach. I really do. I don't want to go to the beach if I'm going to catch this virus again. I really need to know if I can catch it more than once. Is that the same article? Looks like it was. Looks like it is. Let's see if it's the same girl. Unsolved murders. Yeah, we should say unsolved murderers. People that show up at the beach with no mask. I don't think that we need to wear masks on the beach. I mean, to be perfectly clear, as long as we distance ourselves from everybody. But I don't know that we're smart enough to do that. Just seems we aren't.
Know a pandemic was going on by looking at the beach today.
Over the weekend, people crowded beaches and parks and even restaurants and bars.
Everybody's gonna get sick one day. I mean, everybody, it's life, I mean.
This pool party in the Ozarks showing revelers nearly arm to arm.
Let's just go ahead and shut down
all man.
Take a look at this police footage from Daytona Beach showing hundreds gathering in the streets.
Our residents are excited about having access to their beach, so we're gonna have to figure out how we can control these crowds, and largely how we can inform the visitors.
Ocean City, Maryland's boardwalk packed with people, many of them without face coverings. Dr. Deborah Birx urging Americans to stay vigilant with social distancing and wearing masks.
We have said to people is there's clear scientific evidence now by all the droplet experiments that happen and that others have done to show that a mask does prevent droplets from reaching others. We need to be wearing masks in public when we cannot social distance.
The question of wearing a mask has become political. From President Trump repeatedly refusing to wear one in public to protesters gathering outside state capitals, many without their faces covered, rallying to expedite the reopening process. Ohio's governor says this should not be a debate.
This is not about politics. We wear the mask, and it's been very clear what the studies have shown. You wear the mask not to protect yourself so much as to protect others.
In Missouri, 2 hairstylists potentially exposed 140 clients to the disease.
Yeah, that was the story I had
up to
also.
8 days with symptoms.
I think we need to comprehend the consequences of this. If we're going to work sick and sharing this illness with others, that's not a good approach.
And in Arkansas, a high school swim party helped spread the coronavirus to several people.
They're young, they're swimming, they're just having activity, and positive cases resulted from that. And so it's just an encouragement for us to be disciplined in our activities.
With President Trump pushing for churches to welcome back congregants.
Church is essential.
This church in New Jersey defying the state's stay-at-home order restricting indoor gatherings to 10 people.
I would hope we'd get to houses of worship sooner than later, but we want to make sure we do it right, responsibly, and that we don't kill anybody by doing it too fast.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. People have that craziness. I don't think God's going to hate you if you don't go to church because of the coronavirus. I really think that that's it's a given. I mean, I really think that God would understand. So I'm just very frustrated by people not caring about everyone else. All they're caring about is themselves. Maybe that's the generation, though. But I don't know. I don't know if it's an age thing I mean, I personally didn't want to wear a mask either. I was afraid this was blown out of proportion. But with 300 and what did I say, a million 1,000,005 cases, I'm pretty sure it's not blown out of proportion. I'm pretty sure that there's something going on. And until they find a cure, till they find a vaccine of some sort, I am going to be very careful what I do, because I don't want this thing again. I definitely do not want this thing again. So, if you want this thing, go ahead and take it. I can guarantee you I don't want it again. Now, let's see here. Oh, okay, that's her. Okay. Didn't remember. I lost track of where I was. Alright, so get rid of that one. I mean, I'm tired of hearing this report. I personally, if I never heard the coronavirus again, I would be happy. If I never saw COVID again, I'd be happy. But I don't think that's a possibility in this day and age. I just hope that that we're far enough through this, but I don't think we are. I really think that this thing has a long way to go. So, all right, let's do a break from this, and let's do a niche report. I think that would be fun. I actually have one all ready to go. Let's see here. There it is. That one? No. Wait, where did it go? This is what we got to do. Alright, I'm going to bow out of the picture so you don't see me and you can hear the report. And I hope you enjoy this as much as I enjoyed it. It was a very good report, and it's on the show Dark Side of the Ring. Alright, what's going on? Where's my cursor? I don't know where my cursor is. I need my cursor. There it is. Alright, why aren't you moving? There we go. Alright. Okay, that's there. Alright, hope you enjoy this. This is pretty interesting. So, let's get this thing started. I'm trying something new this week, so hope you enjoy it. Alright, here we go.
Hey guys, it's Nietzsche. How you doing? Happy Tuesday. Just wanted to comment on the latest Viceland episode, Dark Side of the Ring. It had to do with the Road Warriors. None of it really surprised me because I had read Joe Laurinaitis' book, who of course was Animal. Most of the stuff that you saw Tuesday night, Joe kind of talked about in his book. So I wasn't really surprised, but I must say that it was a tremendous episode. They only get better. Like I said, I don't know if you could find a bad episode they've done yet. They've really done a great job. The people they get to interview, it's just a phenomenon that they've got going here, and I hope they continue to do it. It was really interesting to just see how different Hawk and Animal really were. You would think with the mohawk, the face paint, the tough guy mentality, that he was this big party animal, no pun intended. He really wasn't. He was more of a guy who did the business, but he also provided for his family. He was big on being a family man, and I read that in his book a lot. I mean, he talks very passionately and affectionately about his family in the book. But it's just amazing to me how you had one guy who had it all together, and you had another guy who really didn't. I'm not here to kill Hawk. He's no longer with us. As far as a wrestler goes, I've said this a million times. This tag team was the Hulk Hogan of tag teams. They were Stone Cold Steve Austin before Stone Cold Steve Austin was Stone Cold. Think about this. They tried to have these guys be heels all the time, especially in the NWA. AWA they were, and the fans would not allow them to be heels. They would just continue to cheer them. My first introduction to them, seeing them wrestle, was a tag team match in the AWA. It was them versus Aaron Von Raschke and Kurt Hennig. And they choked Kurt Hennig into the rope, tangled him up, and then just started beating the piss out of him. And I was so scared of that team. I had never seen a team like that. And they made you, at that point, hate him because here they are beating up this poor, defenseless guy. So I was just like, oh my God, they are just hurting this kid. And then I would see a rematch where it was Kurt Hennig and his father, Larry the Axe, and they fought the Road Warriors again. And I mean, they just started pounding on Larry the Axe, who he was no skinny guy by any means. But this team was just so dominant. And then I followed them to the NWA. That's how I really got into the NWA, is when I saw that they were in it. They were faces in the beginning. They had some great matches. I could think of that scaffold match with the Midnight Express, which they showed you a little bit the other night. They were so popular, but they were so popular that the NWA tried to turn them heel back in around like 1988. They had them turn on Dusty Rhodes and Sting. The fans would just not allow this team to be a heel tag team. They loved them. They said in an interview, Sting, Dusty Rhodes, and the NWA and the fans could all go straight to hell. And the fans didn't even boo them. The fans loved them. You could just tell that no matter what they did, they could have severely hurt someone, and these fans were going to cheer them. And that's how big they were. It really is amazing that they had it all. Joe really embraced it, and then Mike really didn't. He liked to party. He liked to do different things. They had finally got to the WWF. They had finally decided to take that chance. And they got over right away. I mean, they couldn't use the Road Warrior name, which I had known that forever because Vince McMahon had the Ultimate Warrior, and he did not want any more Warriors. That's why Kerry Von had the Texas Tornado. Here they are on this great run in the WWF, like they're really taking off. It got stalled a little bit because he got suspended for a drug possession or drug violation, so they eventually get the belts. They didn't get the belts right away. He got in trouble, and he had to be suspended. And what's really telling is you could see there was some resentment by Animal towards Hawk, because when Hawk got in trouble, Animal had to suffer too, because they didn't sign Animal to be a singles wrestler. They signed him to be a tag team wrestler with Hawk. When Hawk got in trouble, Animal paid the price. I'll never forget, they got the belts from the Nasty Boys. It was a classic match at SummerSlam at Madison Square Garden. The crowd went nuts when the LOD won the belts. They really looked like they were going to have a long run. And then right after the Royal Rumble in January, Hawk again tested positive for cocaine or whatever he was doing, and he got suspended. So by him getting suspended, again, that affected Animal, and they were out, and then they would come back at WrestleMania, and I think they brought Paul Ellering in. I'm being real serious when I say this. I think they brought him in hoping he could control Hawk, because it got to the point where, like, Vince McMahon's patience was running out when it came to Hawk. Couldn't take it anymore with him. Hawk just liked to party, and I had always heard the story. They did do their doomsday device on Vince McMahon, and they did kind of tell that story. I think Barry Darsow might have told that story. Somebody told that story, and I thought that was really cool. And there were so many good things about it. What's crazy, too, is after SummerSlam at Wembley Stadium, Hawk had already gotten in trouble before that match. And if you watch that match, Hawk definitely looks like he's definitely had a few in him, unfortunately, and that's really a shame. Animal kind of had to carry that match. It could have been a better match if Hawk were sober and stuff. But right after that match, Hawk gets fired, and then they tell Animal, maybe after a month, I think they had him working singles as a house show, they said, listen, we hate to do this, but you guys were signed as a package, and since he's not going to be wrestling, we're going to have to let you go too. So, I mean, Animal suffered a lot because of Hawk's problems, and that was really unfortunate right there. And then what was even worse was Animal had had some issues with his back, so he had to get his back fixed. And Hawk went out to Japan, and it's fine that Hawk got a new partner. There's nothing wrong with that. What Hawk was wrong about was making it the Road Warriors in Japan. I think they were called the Power Warriors or something, but it was still the Road Warriors gimmick. He did it with Tatsumi Fujinami. That was unnecessary. It really was. It wasn't right for him to do, and Animal didn't deserve that. That's where Hawk was selfish a lot in that regard. But with that said, Animal really did love Hawk like a brother. So Animal, in time, forgave him, and they did make a comeback. They don't bring it up, but they did go to WCW first before they came back to the WWF. And shame on Eric Bischoff and those guys for not seeing what an explosive tag team this was. They made them put Sting and Booker T over at a pay-per-view in a Chicago street fight. Are you kidding me? I mean, that's just ridiculous. You know, they never used them right. And then when the Road Warriors did come back to the WWF, I mean, they did get the belts, they beat the Godwins, but then like they lost them like a month later to the New Age Outlaws, who had no business. I'm sorry, I know the New Age Outlaws were over to an extent, but they had no business ever going over on the Road Warriors. Things like that I never understood about Vince. He just never made sense to me. I actually met the Road Warriors one time, and I got to say, they were really nice. They were doing an autograph signing, and I'll never forget, they looked very tired, and I remember I said to Hawk, I said, God, you guys must be exhausted doing all this stuff. And Hawk said, you know what? A half hour more of this, and then it's home to Mama. You know, he was very friendly in that regard, and I thought that was really nice. And I was happy to see that Hawk did turn his life around, because he really did. I thought what the WWF did, trying to use his alcoholism as part of the angle, was just tasteless. There's certain things you don't cross the line with, and that's one thing the WWF did too much of. They did that. They did that with like Matt Hardy, Lita, and Edge. I mean, there's a fine line you don't cross, in my opinion, and they crossed it there. But he turned his life around. Unfortunately, years of abuse took over, and his heart gave out. But he really did turn it around. He got help. He met that lady Dale, who changed his life. And it had a happy ending in the sense that at least he died because his heart gave out. He didn't die from overdosing or anything like that. He went to church and stuff and kind of rebuilt himself. Funny thing is, back in June, I think he died in October, back in June, him and Animal had one more match at Raw. They came in and they fought Rob Van Dam and Kane, just like to see, you know, maybe the WWE would be interested in signing them, and they put them over that night. But they were the greatest tag team of all time. The Steiners are great, and probably the second best of all time. And I disrespect the Steiners. They might have more talent than the Road Warriors, but tag team wrestling became popular because of the Road Warriors. It really did. So I think these episodes are great. As I speak to you right now, obviously in about a half hour, the Owen Hart one is going to be on. That's going to be the season finale. That's going to be a tough one. That's going to be a tough one for me to discuss. I will discuss it, but it's going to be hard because I've said this. I said this to Mike the other night. 20 years now since that happened, 21 years, and I got to tell you, it still bothers me. I can still remember it as clear as day when I heard about it, what was going on, and just I remember weeks and weeks after it happened, like I could not get past that. It just bothered me so much. So be interesting to see how that goes. I hope everybody's staying safe. You guys are great, and hopefully we get through this pandemic. I really hope so. Have a great night, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
All right, that's the Nietzsche report on the Road Warriors. I watched that episode, and it was pretty interesting, because I remember the first time I saw them show up in, I guess it wasn't WCW at that point. It was NWA. It was a Crockett show. It was the Ole Anderson booked show. And they showed up in, actually they showed a little piece of it. Let me see here. I want to see if I can find it. Where they showed up in, like, they weren't in their Road Warrior, it was before their Road Warrior gimmick. They showed up in these jeans, and they looked pretty nasty. They looked like they could hold their own in a bar fight for sure. And I remember them. The first time was Animal by himself, because he showed up originally by himself, and Hawk went to Canada by himself before they were ever even partners. And I just was in awe. All he did was he went in the ring, he picked up Mike Jackson is the guy, and he just threw him in the audience. He just threw him. And I just was in awe that this guy would do something like that. That was horrible that he would throw him out just like that. And just amazed me that this guy was so big and powerful and all that. But yeah, it was just a really interesting thing to see them. Oh, here it is. Oh, that was him. Okay, so that was not the first time I saw him. That was, but I remember when he showed up, and he was in this just total biker gimmick, and he just destroyed Mike Jackson and just picked him up over his head and threw him out of the ring. And that hadn't been done before. That was back in those days. It was not something you would expect him to do. Okay, here's the video of the Road Warriors when they first came out. This was the second time I saw him. Was the first time he was in denim, but the second time was he was in this all leather gimmick, and it was interesting because they were totally different than anyone else that was out there. Let me see if I can get a better picture of them. Let's see, it was somewhere around here. I guess I can't really, I'm not going to be able to do it on the fly by the looks of things, but I'm telling you, they were, I knew right then and there that they were going to be a force to be reckoned with. And back then, it was before I was in the business, I was just a fan. I didn't know anything about wrestling, and it was just, I was just one of the fans. But here they are. Here's the vision of them, and they were all in leather gimmick then, and that's before they had the spikes and all that stuff on their outfits and all that. It was just they were truly, I think when you say that they were the Hulk Hogan of tag team wrestling, that is probably the best way you can describe them. They were the biggest thing going in tag teams, and Vince McMahon tried to get them several times, and when he didn't get them, he created his own. He created Axe and Smash as Demolition, and he created let's see, what were some of the other imitations, but he always had imitations, and nobody took on to them as big as the Road Warriors were. So when Road Warriors showed up in WWE, that was it. That was the big thing that they could have possibly been, and it was kind of cool. I will definitely remember them. When I met them, well, I didn't meet them. When I met Joe, the Road Warrior Animal, it was in 2000 and I want to say 4, and it's the same day I met Jimmy Valiant, and he was flown in for an event, for a charity event, and I didn't think too much of him that day because he just didn't he didn't seem like he wanted to be there, and he just didn't he demanded his money and all that stuff, and he was very arrogant, probably because he was a big guy playing in a little venue, and that promoter lost his butt, and as he should have, because that promoter ended up screwing a lot of people over. In fact, he ended up not paying people he promised to pay, and was just a real I can't say enough bad things about him, so I won't say anything else about him, but he was a real scumbag. That's the best word I can think of. Anyway, all right, so that's enough for the Road Warriors. Thanks to Nietzsche for that, and I thought it was a good report, as always, and I hope you enjoyed it, and my new Nietzsche Corner box that I made for that segment. So I'm going to try to improve upon that, but we'll see how it goes, and hopefully it'll be a continuing segment. So that was fun. All right, next thing, what are we doing here? What time we got? Okay, we got 20 minutes. No, we got 40 minutes. All right, just got to figure out what I want to do next here. Straight up, let's see. I think I want to get some of the Tesla stuff that I had on hold. It's been a while since I've done any Tesla news. I mean, serious news, because I've been pushing things off. I found it interesting. Here's a cool Tesla article that I saw and thought that people might be interested to see. Tesla Model X challenged by a sports bike at a traffic light for an impromptu drag race. Now, as you know, or don't know, but you should know, Teslas have cameras on their cars. We have 7 or 8 cameras, depending what car you have. And so you can get pretty much all angles of what's going on. You can get front angles, side angles, back angles. And this particular race had the cameras on. And I found it very interesting how the Tesla did against the racing bike. So I just thought you may want to see it because I thought it was really cool. I am definitely, all in when it comes to Tesla stuff. So, but a motorcycle gets it's tough to beat a motorcycle. But it still was an interesting race, and here is the video of the race. So here we got everything. You see the motorcycle. He's got a Suzuki GSX R750. They're at the red light, and they're about to, they nod at each other, and now they got to wait for the green. So this is going to be interesting to see. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Before we get this thing, before we go any further, I want to stop. Got to turn that on. Got to change the background to this. There we go. Now you can see it better. And so you can see the different angles. Well, you can't see the angles because like if you look over here to would be my right, you can see one of the images, and right next to me you can see an image, and to the right, to the left you can see an image. But those aren't the images you want to see. The image you want to see is above. So you can see the images, and we're about to go, and we're about to race, and here we go. There's nowhere, there was no motorcycle even in sight. So to look at that again, the motorcycle was just lost in a few seconds. You don't even see him. You see him in the side cameras, but you don't see him in the front cameras at all. And then you see him in the rear camera, which you can't see because I'm there. But that was funny. I mean, that tells you how freaking fast when a sports bike can't beat you. So I'm happy about that because that's the Tesla that I have, the fast one, the P100D, and you can actually see it in action on your own. And I put the links in both my Facebook and my Twitter. So I'll tell you, that darn car is fast. It's fast. You can't believe how fast it is. It just is that fast. I just love it. But I played the Tesla losing too. But this is interesting. Elon Musk and Jay Leno, and they're in Jay Leno's TV show in the Cybertruck. So now we can see the Cybertruck, and that in itself is exciting to me.
Let's take it for a drive. Don't mind me, I'm just driving Elon Musk around in Tesla's new Cybertruck. This job is the worst, isn't it?
I mean, it feels very much like any other Tesla. You've got instant acceleration. The greenhouse is fabulous. I love how open it appears to be. And how close is this to what it will look like in production?
At Tesla, we always want to have the production car be better than the show car. It always drove me crazy when manufacturers would
look at that car itself.
Cool-looking show car, and then the actual production car would be way worse.
Very cool. Because you take a look at that, at this particular car here, the headlights are, I believe there's a bar above the roof.
And then the actual production.
That is a light. And
car would be way worse. Right. And you're like, man, you got us all excited.
I mean, that thing is so cool. I originally saw it and I thought, I don't think it looks good. But I'll tell you what, it grew on me. I definitely like that car. I'm thinking that when my lease is up in this car, which will be a year from December, I might have to get a Cybertruck. Because this is, to me, really cool because it has the same type of suspension. It has a lot of the same features, but it's not nearly as expensive. So I'm thinking I'm going to have to buy one of them.
Excited about this sweet-looking car, and then the production one's it's terrible. We won't do show cars that aren't real. So I think we got the proportions here pretty close.
What would you change on when it finally reaches production? What do you think you would do?
We're 5% too big, and if we just take all the proportions and drop them by about 5%.
I heard they aren't going to drop that percentage down, though. I believe that they are going to keep the same size that is shown in this car. The thing that's really cool is it's got the open air in the back. You look at the roof. It's like on my Tesla, the roof over the driver and passenger is all glass, but you can't see through it. You can only see through it one way. I can look up and see the sunshine. The sunshine isn't killing me when it's coming down on me, and it looks like the roof is very similar to that. But that one, I believe that seats 7, and that's what mine seats 6.
Oh, you mean all the way around?
Yeah, so it's got to fit in a normal garage.
Right.
Yeah, and there's lots of little...
That's true too. I want it, if it was bigger than that, where it won't fit in my garage, I would have no use for it. I would definitely need it to be that way. So I'm glad he is making sure that it's going to fit in a garage.
Details that people wouldn't necessarily pick up consciously, just improving visibility. Having glass like this is actually quite hard because it's so sloped.
Is that a special kind of glass? Is that different from normal windshield glass?
We are going to be using
That's what they showed at the event, and that's the one that broke when they went to show it. So they promised the new glass is not going to do that.
The car and the door panels, the car are the 300 series stainless steel, and it's so tough that it's bulletproof.
I just noticed that there's no mirrors. I wonder if they're using cameras for mirrors. I just noticed there are no mirrors.
Hang on.
And why is that important to you that it be bulletproof? I mean, I don't
it's badass and super cool.
That's super cool. But see, I like that answer. It's a good answer.
Do you want your truck to be bulletproof or not?
Yeah, I guess I want my truck to be bulletproof.
Yeah, sure. Exactly. You know, you never know. When the apocalypse comes, you'll be glad to see.
That's what I was thinking too. Yeah, this is the perfect apocalypse car, and as long as you have solar in your house, which I do, if we have an apocalypse, I'm going to be able to survive the apocalypse.
Be a leader in apocalypse technology.
Exactly. There's your SpaceX headquarters right there.
Yeah. Yeah, the Boring Company tunnel starts just there next to the SpaceX parking garage.
I was told he drives it into the tunnel.
How long is that tunnel?
That's about 1.5 miles.
Wow.
The Boring Company is another one of Elon's innovative ideas. He envisions a tunnel system designed specifically for electric vehicles to help alleviate the overflow of traffic above the ground.
I wonder, we might be able to take the Cybertruck through it. That would be kind of nuts.
Can we take the Cybertruck through
Let's see it. Let's see it.
This will be quite interesting to see if we can actually fit it down there.
Let's try it. That's what I say.
Yeah, life's an adventure.
All right, here we go. Gonna pick up some water now? Yes, sir.
I'm in a Firehawk helicopter learning how the Los Angeles County Fire Department fights those horrific wildfires. And now, I get to be the spotter.
Okay, coming in. You're right overhead. Circle coming down.
Okay, I guess we're done with that.
Okay, we're in.
Well, that sucks. I didn't see the car come out of the tunnel.
Making sure we're staying right.
Well, that sucks. Well, in any case, it shows the car, the Cybertruck, and I think the idea is you never have to worry about scratches and all that stuff on it too, because the paint isn't paint, it's the actual metal. So, we'll see. In a year and a half, or I guess it's about a year and a half, if I get the new one, we'll see that. I'll give you my full report on it then. But I'm loving the car. I think it's really cool. It's definitely a must. Well, I mean, if you're a Tesla fan, It's a must-have, and sure beats some of the other things. It's a little slower as far as speed than my Tesla now, but I really don't use the speed. It's still faster than your your basic sports car and your basic muscle car. So that's funny. The funniest thing about that is that when they race these muscle cars that are very souped up, and they still beat the car stock out of off the line. I mean, there's you're not making, when they say we do 2.4 seconds for 0 to 60, we're talking off the showroom floor fast. And the muscle cars, they spend how many thousands of dollars building the car up to be able to do that kind of, ludicrous mode. That's right, ludicrous mode, crazy. I call that Melanie mode. So that's, to me, that's the fast thing. But I mean, that is a stock car. That is no changes. And when these other cars take on the Tesla, they're souped up. Those things have all kinds of headers and dual carbs and all kinds of weird things like special gripping tires and all that they spend thousands of dollars on, and they'll still they'll still lose. So, but that's kind of cool. I like that Tesla truck. I will, because that'd be a fun truck to have too for like the beach and all that. And it has the same type of suspension as my truck, where we could raise and lower it depending what the terrain is. And I really am looking forward to seeing that thing come out. It'll be pretty fun. So let's see, that's that. Yeah, I saw that this week, that Tesla truck with okay, here we go. Here is the Hellcat Charger. Now, Hellcat is one of the fastest cars. It is probably the fastest car that Dodge puts out. And, there's the Charger, and then there's the Charger Hellcat. And I think they beat the Tesla on this one. But like I said, all the money they put into their cars versus a stock Tesla. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, that's the Tesla got beat in this first round. I think it got beat in all 3 rounds. But again, they put a lot of money in their car, and for a stock car, that's not bad. For a stock car, they got beat by a Hellcat, but that's without any extra oomph. And then we got this was an article I thought was interesting. The new Ford Bronco delayed to 2021. Upcoming F-150 and Mustang Mach-E pushed back. So this is what the new Bronco looks like, which is kind of funny because it's sort of like what the old Bronco looked like. The old original Bronco was sitting higher and kind of like that particular Bronco, which I think it looks better than the newer Broncos up to this point. This is let's see, it says 2020. Let me see here, and the Mach-E, the Mustang Mach-E, is their electric Mustang, which we'll see if it happens or not. The Mustang at this point was, I think it was around $200,000 or somewhere around there, I believe that's right. And it is not even as fast as my Model X. So it's funny how when you look at the things like everyone wants to put out the Tesla killer, but nobody has come close to putting out a Tesla killer because everybody can't keep up with it. They don't realize what technology that those cars are built from the ground up. They have to create something that's faster. And it's just hard to believe how fast that car is unless you've actually driven it. But that car is fast out of the box. But anyway, the new Ford Bronco, undoubtedly the most anticipated model of 2020, won't hit the road this year. Plant shutdowns have caused a production, it's going to be backed up, of the new Bronco Sport, F-150, and Mustang Mach-E. While the full-size Bronco won't hit showrooms until 2021, its trio of new blue oval stablemates are still due for the second half of 2020. So I guess we're going to find out if it is actually going to be as good as they hope it will be. So hopefully there's pictures of these. No, there are not. I wanted to see that. But the new Bronco, I kind of like that picture. That's inviting. I mean, if I was getting a gas car, that would be one I'd be interested in. I definitely like the idea. I think it looks like this top may even come off, so you could have I don't know for sure that I'm right about that, but, and it looks like they have the old style tailgate that opens sideways versus up and down. So I kind of like the idea. The truck looks kind of neat and sleek and all that, but this is not an electric, but it's still looks pretty good. It gets my approval, but not that it needs my approval, because I won't be buying it because it's not electric. I would like to get another car that is either electric or a hybrid, so that I can, have a spare car, and then I want to sell my gas cars. So that would be nice. Okay, Edmunds Real World EV Compared, the model Tesla Model Y, the Tesla Model 3, and the Mustang Mach-E. So they are comparing three cars that are of completely different types, and the price point of those, I don't think the Mustang Mach-E is going to be around the same price point, because my understanding was it was going to be quite a bit more. But here's what they have complete review. I want to see what the complete review of the 2020 Mustang. If the Mustang Mach-E, if that's electric between $40,000 and $65,000, then they retooled it to be cheaper. Now they're talking about a car that would be interesting to me, because I didn't really like the original Mustang E was going to be, I believe it was going to be around $200,000, but maybe they realized they weren't going to get that for that. It says the Mustang Mach-E is the first Ford to be designed specifically as an electric vehicle, expected to debut in the fall of 2020. The Mach-E seeks to blend the emotive appeal of the Mustang nameplate with the latest EV technology. Prices will start around $40,000 and range up to $65,000. Okay, so that is interesting to me, because I didn't hear that for that particular car. They were talking a lot more for that originally, so they must have scaled down and figured a way to do that. The Mach-E will be available as a fully electric vehicle. There will be no gas-powered version or even hybrid. It will be offered with a choice of 2 battery packs with either rear or all-wheel drive. I bet you that's what the difference is between the price, because originally it was going to be a 3-motor vehicle versus a 2-motor vehicle for front and rear. They were going to have 3, I believe. Mimicking the Mustang Coupe and convertible, the high-performance version of the Mach-E will carry the GT badge. It's scheduled to arrive summer of 2021. Headlined by GT Performance, the version will have 459 horsepower and 612 foot of torque, which says should be enough to go 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds. For a car that is that price point, that's a pretty good deal. 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds. Yeah, that's about what the Model 3 does, and that's probably what the Model Y does as well. So I guess they finally sat down, because they originally said that the one that was $200,000 was going to do that too. And I was thinking to myself, why would I pay $200,000 to do 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds when I could have a Model X or a Model, a performance Model S that will do 2.4 or 2.7. So now they're in the price point where they need to be, because that idea of being 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds is reasonable for that price point. They could actually capture the market if they have places that are going to be able to charge it, because that's the biggest problem. If you buy a non-Tesla vehicle and you're looking to charge it, there aren't a lot of fast charges out for them. They will charge, the fast charge of those units is about 20 to 30 miles per hour that you can gain in charging a vehicle like that. And 20 to 30 miles per hour is not anywhere close to the Tesla charging of 180 miles in 15 minutes. So that's still going to be their biggest fall down. Now, people that love Ford are going to worry about that, but they're probably not going to buy an electric Ford until they have a reason to buy it. There's going to be a couple people out there that are going to buy it just to have it, because they can say they have it. But until they get a fast charging system, Ford and Chevy and every other electric manufacturer out there is going to have to come up with some way to do this, and some way that it makes sense. Because right now, the biggest thing is, if you put everything side by side and everything was equal, Tesla's going to win because of their fast charging system over everybody else. So, it says here, at last, Ford's getting serious about electric cars, but the automaker is taking a slightly different tact from other manufacturers. Rather than focusing on eco-friendly image, Ford wants to excite enthusiasts. I'd like to have if they could sell that body type to Tesla, I would buy it, because I know that it would last, and I know that it would be a good unit. It says the big elephant in the room is Ford is Tesla. It says both Model 3 sedan and Model Y will compete directly for the price and performance with the Mach-E. Beyond that, competition is surprisingly scarce. The Hyundai Kona Electric and Kia Niro EV are smaller and slower, while the Jaguar I-Pace and Audi e-tron are much more expensive. And of course, there's the Volkswagen. Volkswagen has the one that's going to come out somewhere around the $25,000 price point. But I don't think we're going to see it in the States, because I believe they allocated all the ones that they were going to sell for Europe. And then there's a tax credit. Now, the charging, this is the part that I'm most interested in. The most convenient way to run an electric car is to plug it into a socket at home, but just as you would a mobile phone. However, to achieve a workable charging speed, you'll need to install 240 volt. But 240 volt is what I have on my home system, and that really is only going to get you, here it says 22 miles per charging hour, or 32 miles if you install the optional Ford charging station. But again, you're still not going to be able to do it on the run. Like if I want to drive a long distance, the best way to do it is you charge up full when you're at home, and then when you get your charge down to, say, 20% or maybe 30%, maybe 15%, maybe even 12%, 10%. I've gone as low as 7%. Then you plug in, charge for 15 minutes, run it back up to 180 miles, and then drive another 3 hours, and then charge again. That's a lot quicker, because as electric cars go, the closer they are to being fully charged, what happens is the charging slows down as they are getting near the full charge. What happens is the less that is charged, the quicker it can charge, because it allocates the charging up. So the less you have in the car, the hotter it can charge. So if you have 10, 20, 30% of the charge, it's going to charge quicker than if you had. When I first got the Tesla, the biggest lesson I learned is that when you plug it in, if you're at 50%, you're going to charge quicker than if you're at 80%, but you'll charge even quicker if you're at 12%, because of what happens is, as it gets closer to filling the batteries, the charging has to slow down so that it doesn't overcharge the battery. When it's a full empty battery, or mostly empty battery, it can get hotter. The cell can get hotter, and it'll charge quicker. So the problem is that these cars will charge, like I said, you'll be able to add 61 miles in 10 minutes. Well, 61 miles in 10 minutes is not very fast. I get 180 miles in 15. So, again, it comes down to education. And if people know the information, they can look at it and say, ooh, that's a cool-looking car. But if they look at it and they buy it just because it's a cool-looking car, they're going to be disappointed when it comes to charging, and then they're going to have a bad experience. I can tell you, I look at that car, and that car looks pretty sexy, but there's the Tesla, and where's the new Mustang at? Okay, I'm going to turn this up so that I can hear what they're talking about.
Tesla Model Y, we're social distancing right now appropriately. Edmunds has owned essentially every Tesla model ever produced, with the exception of the Roadster. But beyond that, Alistair actually owns a Model 3 himself and has been inside the Ford Mustang Mach-E.
That's right. Last November, I flew up in the middle of a snowstorm to Detroit to check out the Mach-E and had the car to myself in a studio for a day. So we feel we're uniquely positioned to compare these three vehicles.
I will tell you, it looks really nice. I would like that if it was equal to, the rest of the ones that they're looking at. The Model 3, the Model Y, both can do fast charging faster than the Mustang E.
We're going to go over a lot of the broad aspects of these vehicles, but for more details, make sure to click the link below to visit Edmunds.com to see the full story.
Of the three cars, it's the Model 3 that arguably needs the least introduction. It really has become the Ford Model T of the EV world. Tesla sold over 150,000 of these in the US alone last year, making it one of the top 10 selling cars in America. It's priced from a little under $40,000 to just over $60,000, and Tesla claims an electric range of anywhere from 250 to 322 miles, depending on which you buy. Although, to be honest, in Edmunds' experience, you're lucky to achieve around 85% of that. The one that I'm sitting in is actually a $35,000 off-menu special that we managed to buy. It's well worth checking out Carlos's video on how we bought it.
The Tesla Model Y takes a formula that's basically served every major automaker out there. Take your popular compact sedan and
as the Model Y, at least when the entry-level versions of the Model Y go on sale later this year. So $44,000.
So the Y is the little brother of the X, as far as it's an SUV supposedly, and you can use it. It's got a little bit more room than the Model 3 has, but here is the Mach-E versus the Y.
Dollars to just over $6.
By the way, the look of the Mach-E is pretty good. I gotta admit, that is a pretty sharp-looking car.
And the range is pretty much identical to 210 miles to 300. It's worth considering that the equivalently sized gas-powered Ford model, the Escape, starts at just $25,000, and even the huge Explorer starts at $33,000. The Mach-E, it ain't cheap.
Yeah, do you get that? Do you get the emissions control where you can hear it fart? That's important.
Well, let's get straight to the Mach-E and how it compares against the Model Y. We're both sitting in very similar Tesla interiors. What are the biggest differences and similarities between the two?
Well, I think the most astonishing thing for me, the old cliche about imitation being the highest form of flattery. If you look at the tech spec, if you look at the aesthetics outside and in, the Mach-E is almost a replica of the Model Y. Yes, the Mach-E has more jewelry, if you like, to make it look more like a Mustang, and arguably, I think it's probably a little bit better looking, but the basic silhouettes are nigh on identical, and particularly the way they both have that kind of exaggerated athletic rear shoulder line. Inside too, Ford has ditched its traditional architecture for something that looks a lot more like a Tesla. You've got a 15.5-inch touchscreen, which instead of being horizontal is vertically mounted. They've even got a soundbar, this time made by Bang & Olufsen, across the top of the dashboard, just like Tesla has. It's extraordinary how similar they are. The one thing I would say, though, the Ford has got a speedo exactly where you want it in front of the steering wheel, rather than having to read the speed from the center of the car like you do in a Tesla, but incredibly similar.
I appreciate the speedometer in front of the steering wheel, and I also appreciate the physical controls on the screen too. Let's talk about some other interior touches. Tesla products are fairly famous for having Spartan minimalist interiors. How did the Mustangs feel? The Mustang Mach-E's, how did it feel inside?
They have brought a few more kind of Ford bits back into it. You've got sensible contours, you've got sensible buttons on the steering wheel. There's actually a physical knob for the volume, for example. So what they try to do is take Tesla and then kind of evolve it a little bit and make it a little bit more ergonomic and a little bit more user-friendly.
And you've still got some of the Mustang hallmarks like ground speed on the speedometer, right?
You're right, actually. I have a confession. When I made the original video of the Mach-E, when it said ground speed, I was actually thinking that was to do with Mach being an aeronautical term. Then you quite rightly pointed out that I'd missed the fact that older Mustangs also had ground speed on their speeder. So there are some nice little bits of humor, and you can tell that the Ford team has really thought about this vehicle. I love the fact that the front, for example, has a little valve that allows you to drain it out. So if you want to use it for tailgating and use it as an ice tray or something, you can do. So there's a bit of humor and a real sort of attention to detail that runs throughout the car.
And while we're on the topic of storage, you mentioned the frunk. We don't know the exact interior storage specifications of the Model Y because Tesla hasn't published them, at least broken down by row. But given the exterior dimensions, it's hard to imagine them being very different, right?
It is. And Ford has a slightly longer wheelbase, so you would probably expect it to have a little bit more rear legroom. I wasn't able to measure the Mach-E, but on paper, Ford's actually claiming slightly less, which is a little bit confusing. And Ford's trunk also looks a little bit smaller, but to be honest, we're kind of playing at the margins. Both of these are sensible, practical family cars.
The experience of buying them and owning them will probably be different, right? Because the Ford, you're still going to have to go through a traditional dealership.
You are. I mean, Ford's got around 2,100 dealers across the US, and the Mach-E will be sold in a fairly conventional way. However, Ford says that a lot of things that people like about Tesla ownership, the fact that you can complete the whole thing online and actually cut down the time you have to spend at the dealer, they're trying to introduce some of that with the Mach-E experience. And it'll be interesting to see how people respond to the idea of buying a fixed price Ford.
Another difference between the two is how they've done trim levels. Like both vehicles will be rear-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. Both will have short-range battery packs and long-range battery packs. Both come in high performance. But the Ford has a lot of trim levels, at least on paper.
It reminds me a little bit of how we used to talk about Apple and Microsoft, that Ford just can't help layering on complexity. So you have a really big model range that starts with the base car, then you go through the GT, which is the fast one, the twin motor, and then you also have something called a California Route 1 for reasons that nobody seems to be able to explain, which is long-range battery, but single motor and rear-wheel drive, and that's all about maximizing range. So yeah, it takes a little bit of getting your head around, and you have to kind of fight your way through the website a little bit.
I guess the flip side is, if you're so inclined, you can choose the Mach-E that's right for you. You have more range.
I mean, the Mach-E does sound like a good car. However, we still have the issues with charging, and to me that's a very big issue. Here's another article on the Mach-E, and like I said, the car itself looks pretty nice. The front end looks like there would be maybe a little more room in the front end for storage and stuff like that. And I don't know. If all things were equal, I would be looking at that, but they aren't going to be equal because there's still that charging thing. So that makes it, that throws everything off. It could be the nicest looking car in the world, but if it's not going to be able to be charged, then it's a good hood ornament, or not a hood, a good thing looking in the driveway. I wonder if this is a commercial. Is this a commercial? I think it's a commercial. It's a 4-minute commercial. Let's see. Testing facility. Winter testing.
There's certain conditions that you can only really achieve in wintertime, right? Slippery roads, icy conditions. So unless you actually subject a vehicle to those conditions, you never really know how it's going to behave. We're currently finishing up all of our fine-tuning. We finally have everything in the right place at the right time, and every single one of those things can affect all-wheel drive performance.
I will tell you that the performance of my car in the wintertime is awesome. That car, you really don't want to use like cruise control in the wintertime because, or wet or the wintertime, because the car will try to overcompensate if you hydroplane. However, I've never had that problem with my Tesla in cruise control. The thing, it's smart. It's very smart cruise control, and it knows what the conditions are and all that stuff, and it knows how to react to everything.
People don't think about electric vehicles in winter because there really isn't an electric vehicle out there that satisfies the needs of all-wheel drive SUV in winter. And the Mach-E, for the first time, really does satisfy those needs. The all-wheel drive's ability to adapt to changing conditions. That means that if you happen to be in a higher grip condition, like on a highway or something, you have all that acceleration. But as soon as you turn off of that highway onto a snow-covered road, you have the control that you would expect.
I mean, it gets real cold here, right? It's extreme, and no matter how we stress the battery pack with cold temperatures, this vehicle is able to perform.
I want to be one of the guys that test drives the car. That looks like fun.
Our teams have worked to have this tight coordination between the brake controls and all-wheel drive and propulsion controls. And snow, slippery surfaces, the vehicle tracks, amazing in all environments.
Before we started this program, we drove every one of the competitive products that are out there. And we immediately began to notice that there was a lot of opportunity for improvement. We've continued to improve the Mach-E along the way so that it will be one of the best electric vehicles out there.
I mean, it blows you away how this car accelerates in the snow.
That car looks pretty hot, I gotta tell you. If it only was a Tesla.
We've got something that anybody can get behind the wheel of it and immediately be surprised at how well it performs. They'll get behind the wheel and they'll know that there's just something different about it. And I don't think they're ever going to be disappointed. We've got 2 weeks left of winter development and we're finishing up a few things, but I'm really excited about where the car is and I just can't wait to see what people think of it.
They're going to be so impressed with how the vehicle drives, with the space they have, with seeing it in their driveway, showing it to their families. It's going to be pretty awesome.
Wow. That's a pretty cool video. They actually did a good job of making people want it. I will put that on my timeline, and if you want to check the video out on your own, you can do so. And if you don't want to, well, you don't have to. There's no requirements there. And I think on this, we're going to wrap it up. And pretty much we know the our indications of what we've talked about today, and hopefully we learned something. And if not, well, weren't watching, weren't paying attention. So until next week, I'm going to bid you adieu, and remember, as always, see you next week.